Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 shlokas 41 to 50 meaning. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha kuru nandana bahushakhaahyanantascha buddhyo vyavasayinam. Lord Shri Krishna says, O descendant of the Kurus, the intellect of those who is on the right path, they are very clear and their aim is one-pointed. But the intellect of those who are not in the right path, they have thoughts which are many-branched. Attachment is a function of the mind. How does it manifest? The mind repeatedly goes after objects of its attachment, which could be people, which could be sensual objects, which could be prestige, bodily comfort, situations, etc. So if the mind is again and again thinking of a person or an object repeatedly, it is possible indication of the mind being attached to it. So if the mind is the one which is getting attached, why is Sri Krishna bringing intellect into the topic of attachment? Is there any role of the intellect in eliminating attachment? Within our body is a subtle, that is Antakarana, which is called as heart. It consists of the mind, the intellect and the ego. In the subtle mission, the intellect is more powerful, superior than the mind. The intellect makes the decisions while the mind creates the desires. For example, if intellect decides that money is the source of happiness, the mind hankers for wealth. If the intellect decides prestige is important, then mind craves for reputation and fame. In other words, the mind develops desires in accordance with the knowledge of the intellect. It is now very clear that the intellect possesses the ability to control the mind. Therefore, we must elevate the intellect with good proper knowledge and use it to guide the mind in proper direction. Buddhi Yoga is the art of detaching the mind from the fruits of actions by developing a resolute decision of the intellect that all work is meant for the pleasure of God. Shlokam 42. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipashchitaha vedavadaratav partha nanyadastiti vadinaha. Shlokam 43. Kamatmanasvargaparaha janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishwarya gatim prati. Those with limited understanding get attracted to the flowery words of the Vedas, which advocates rituals for elevation to the celestial abodes and presume no higher principle is described in them. They glorify only those portions of the Vedas that please their senses and perform pompous rituals for attaining high birth, opulence, sensual enjoyment and elevation to the heavenly planets. Shlokam 44. Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam tayapahritta chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhau na vidhiyate. With the mind deeply attached to worldly pleasures and the intellect confused by such things, they are unable to possess the resolute determination for success on the path to God. People whose minds are always attached to sensual material objects, they are interested with bhog, gratification and aishwaryam, luxury. They always engage their intellect in enhancing their income and think of how to maximize their enjoyment. Confused in this manner, they are unable to focus on things which will lead them to God realization. Shlokam 45. Traigunya vishaya vedaha nistraigunya bhavarjuna nirdvandvo nitya sattvastho niryogakshema atmavan. The Vedas deal with three modes of material nature, O Arjuna. Rise above all the three to a state of pure spiritual consciousness. Free yourself from dualities, eternally fixed in truth, and without concern for material gain and safety, be always situated in yourself. So, the Vedas actually contain two kinds of knowledge: ritualistic ceremonies for material attachment, and divine knowledge for spiritual aspirants. When Sri Krishna tells Arjuna to reject the Vedas, the statement needs to be understood in the context of the preceding and following verses. He is implying that Arjun, you should not be attracted by the section of the Vedas that propounds rules, regulations, and ceremonies for material rewards, but you should use the divine section of the Vedic knowledge to elevate yourself to the level of absolute truth. Shlokam 46. यावानर्थ उदपाने सर्वतः सम्प्लुतोदके तावान् सर्वेषु वेदेषु ब्राह्मणस्य विजानतः. Whatever purpose or whatever support is given by a small well of water is naturally served in all respects by even a large lake. Similarly, one who realizes the absolute truth also fulfills the purpose of all the Vedas. The Vedas contain many mantras describing varieties of rituals, practices, prayers, ceremonies, and gems of knowledge. All of these are given only with one aim: to help unite the soul with God. However, just like a medicine pill is sugar coated to make it more palatable, similarly, to attract materially minded people, the Vedas also give material allurements. Ultimate objective of everything is to help the soul gradually get devoted to God and attached to God. Shlokam 47. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhuhu ma te sangostva karmani. In this verse, Sri Krishna goes on to tell Arjuna that you have the right to perform your duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, nor be attached to inaction. This is a very well known and a popular verse of the Bhagavad Gita, so much that even school children in India are familiar. It offers a very beautiful, deep insight into the proper spirit of work and is often quoted whenever the topic of Karma Yoga is discussed. It gives 4 beautiful instructions regarding the science of work. First, do your duty but do not concern yourself with the results. Number 2, the fruits of your actions are not for your enjoyment. Number 3, even while working, give up the pride of doership. Number 4, do not be attracted to inaction. Shlokam 48. योगस्थः कुरु कर्माणि संगं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्यसिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते. Do your duty properly, O Arjuna. Abandon attachment to the success and failures. Such equanimity is called yoga. The equanimity which Sri Krishna is talking about, which means accepting any situations and any circumstances that come in life with serenity, is so praiseworthy that he calls it yoga or union with Supreme. This understanding of looking at things equally comes from implementing the knowledge of the previous verses. When we understand that the effort is in our hands, not the results, we then concern ourselves only with doing our duty. The results are for the pleasure of God, and so we dedicate them to Him. Now, if the results are not to our expectations, we calmly accept them as the will of the God. In this way, we are able to accept success and failures, pleasure and pain as God's will, and when we learn to embrace both equally, we develop the equanimity that Sri Krishna talks about. Shlokam 49. दूरेण ह्यवरं कर्म बुद्धियोगात् धनञ्जय बुद्धौ शरणमन्विच्छ कृपणाः फलहेतवः. Sri Krishna continues to tell Arjuna, take refuge and protection in divine knowledge and insight. Discard reward-seeking behavior and actions. They are certainly inferior to works performed with intellect which is established in the divine knowledge. Miserly people are those who seek to enjoy the fruits of their works. Any work that is done, there are two aspects to it: the external activity that we do and our internal attitude towards it. For example, let us say a temple is being built in the holy land of Vrindavan. The workers are engaged in the sacred activity, but their attitude is mundane as to how to get their salary. If another contractor gives them higher wages, they don't mind going there. Both the external work and the internal attitude are important. So here Sri Krishna advises Arjuna to move towards higher levels of motivation, which is looking at internal motivation towards work. As an individual moves towards higher levels of consciousness, one naturally sheds the desire for enjoying the fruits of work and moves in the direction of service. Shlokam 50. Buddhiyukto jahatiha उभे सुकृत दुष्कृते तस्माद् योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्. One who prudently practices the science of doing only their duty and their work without attachment can get rid of both good and bad reactions in this life itself. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of working skillfully with proper consciousness. After hearing the science of Karma Yoga, people often think and wonder, if I give up attachment to results, will my performance go down? Sri Krishna beautifully explains that working without personal motivation does not reduce the quality of work. Instead, we become more skillful than before. Likewise, Arjuna's personal example illustrates the point that giving up attachment to the fruits does not adversely affect performance. Before hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he intended to engage in the war with the desire of winning the war and the kingdom. After hearing the Bhagavad Gita from Sri Krishna, he was fighting because it was his duty to God and Sri Krishna would be pleased by it. He was still a warrior, but the internal motivation was different. The fact that he did his duty without attachment did not make him any less competent than before. In fact, he fought with greater inspiration and motivation because his work was directly in service to God.